This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the bigger picture webinar for Sunday, the 7th of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to trend charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Sorry it's a bit late tonight. We've got, I've been away much of the weekend, and was ill on Saturday, so I've kind of been catching up everything tonight. Let's get on. All right. Yes, I did a post on Friday, which would be well worth a read for all of you, talking about the possibility that we might be forming head and shoulders patterns here. I was talking about this at the lows here last week, and actually they look pretty good. We've also got, we had some buy signals. The one on ES has made target. We've got a possible weak 60-minute sell signal brewing. We will see. We've got another possible weak 60-minute sell signal brewing on NQ. On RTY, we made the buy signal target, no current divergence. Didn't have a buy signal on Dow, but we don't have a sell signal brewing either. On DAX, we had a 60-minute buy signal that's reached the possible near miss target, and the same on ESTX. Could this be a flag breaking up on ESTX? Yes, it could, and really the same on DAX potentially, although less well formed. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, SPX. Let's have a look at the shorter term first, because this is what I was talking about. I was talking about the possibility that we're forming a head and shoulders here, or could retest this high and come down. There are a number of reasons to think this. One, we've got this very nice looking rising wedge here. And the next obvious target within the wedge would be wedge support, and that is currently in the 5600 area. There is some reason to think that we would have a move down. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence at the moment. Well, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fix, but it's been there for a few days and currently not delivering anything. Sooner or later, I would expect it to make target, but more particularly, I would expect the RSI 5 sell signal on the daily chart to make target. Now we've got on this chart here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 previous signals here. 5 out of 6 of them made target. And while I've got a possible near miss target in the 95 area, pretty much all of them made the full target. So it's a reasonable expectation that this one's going to do it too. That has me leaning towards seeing topping patterns forming here. I did the stats on the SPX and Dow sell signals on Friday, because those are the sell signals he's got at the moment, and SPX is pretty strong and Dow is even stronger. So we will see how that goes, but we've got a possible head and shoulders forming here, and it's not alone. Looking at the daily chart, new weekly pivot is at 57.30, and we're waiting to see whether we're going to see this high retest. But if we do see the high retest, of course, there is a possibility that is a second high of a double top. Looking at NDX, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing. I think we've got one on the 15-minute. I think we've got one of those. Yeah, we've got one of those on SPX as well. And again, we could be forming a right shoulder here, in which case I'd really be expecting it to break down tomorrow or Tuesday at the latest. We'll see how that goes. On the hourly chart, no current divergence. We've got a shorter term wedge here, which isn't a bad one, with support here in about the 19 to 30 area. Looking at the daily chart, no current divergence, and we're not likely to get any. We just found some support close to the daily middle band. We'll see. It's so could we head straight up from here? We could, but there are reasons to think that we won't. Dow, again, pretty nice looking head and shoulders, potential head and shoulders forming here. No divergence. Hourly chart, no divergence either. On the daily chart, we've got a very nice RSI 5 sell signal fix, and I was noting on this chart that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. Have previously fixed on this chart over the last 3 years, and all of them made target. It's a reasonable expectation that this is going to as well. So we will see how that goes. But I think just playing the odds, I'm looking for more downside. And I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to get it. Right. What are we looking at on IWM here? Well, what we don't have is a possible head and shoulders forming, or at least not an obvious one at all. I mean, I've got a possible neckline here and it's flat, but the two right shoulders bear no resemblance to each other whatsoever. And one of the things about a head and shoulders, it should actually look like a head and shoulders. You shouldn't have one You shouldn't have an elbow on one side and a shoulder on the other. There's got to be at least some proportion, and there wouldn't be here. So I'm not regarding this as head and shoulders. I am considering this as a possible larger flag. I've got this nice looking support trend line across here. Lovely anchor. It's not a perfect channel, but this is a potential larger flag. I was saying after the first flag broke up that we could form a larger one. This could be that larger one. So I'm looking at that, and there is some indication, therefore, that we might head higher from here. We'll see. Looking at the hourly chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal that's reached the possible near miss target. On the daily chart, we are not close to any divergence. We had the deepest retracement here of all of them, but even then, we never actually saw any significant break that held into the close on the daily middle band, which is clearly support pretty much across the board here. So we will see. All right, looking at DAX. Went higher. That kind of messed up the nice looking nested double top that we had there, but they're all messed up. All the ones I posted a couple of weeks ago or mentioned are all messed up. The down one's pretty much gone altogether. The smaller double top has disappeared altogether on this one, and the larger double top is looking rather unbalanced. So at the moment, I'm disregarding all of those patterns. So in terms of the bigger picture, well, I've actually got a really nice looking channel here, and the next obvious target with the channel would be channel support. And I've got that down here in about the 7200 area. We will see. Nikkei, obviously we've had a bit of political turbulence. We've had a sharp retracement and a sideways consolidation. Keeping an open mind on that one. But what I would say is that we may be consolidating while the bands turn up and start to widen again. That would give more space on the upside in the event that Nikkei does go to the upside. If we are going to see more serious downside action really across the board, we need to see some daily middle bands break and hold the breaks. Above them, there's a natural lean to the bull side. It's a nice setup to see more retracements here, and I think the odds of it are seeing it are pretty decent. Could it go the other way? Always, it can go the other way. So we shall see. All right, great. Let's move on to the dollar.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, let's have a look at the dollar and on bonds, and both of those are looking pretty interesting. Now, if you've been watching the pre-market videos, I was talking for a while as we were making this low here about the possibility this might be a low, be a nested double bottom. That's broken up, and we're much of the way to the second target, which I've got in about the 102.95 to 103 area. I've been looking at that carefully today. We had a sell signal here that failed. So we've gone higher, and at the moment I'm not seeing much compelling to suggest that we aren't going to make that. And if I have a quick look at the euro here, this is a very nice large double top which has broken down with a target considerably lower. Now this is actually rather more bearish than the DX pattern is bullish. It's obviously less close to the target. We'll see how that goes, but I've got a few comments on that to make. So let's have a look at the bigger picture USD chart. All right, and okay. Right, looking at DX, the RSI 14 buy signal has now reached the possible near miss target. Obviously, the RSI 5 buy signal reached target a while ago. We've broken up from the double bottom here. I've brought it in slightly different here because there is an argument this is a smaller double bottom, which is actually already making target. But I think on the bigger picture, it's pretty obvious that it's the bigger one that we should be watching here. And there, it's further away from the target. One of those targets is an interesting looking potential inverted head and shoulder neckline in about the 103.2 area. But what I would say is, one thing I mentioned when we were near the lows is that I found this really nice support trend line on DX. Now, a pattern like this doesn't tend to occur alone. It tends to occur there because it has a partner. The obvious married trend line to that one would be this one here. It could be another one, but the obvious one is here. And if we were to hit that trend line, I've got that currently at about the 104.6 area. I am wondering if this might go higher. And we are seeing, it's kind of a turbulent backdrop that we're looking at here. I mean, looking at the weekly chart, daily chart, obviously we've pretty much fixed, sort of finished with the targets here. But on the weekly chart, we've got a full-size RSI 5 buy signal fixed, and we've got a weak RSI 14 buy signal fixed. These are generally pretty good indicators, more upside. Now, we've already made the RSI 5 buy signal, or at least we're getting close to it. but we're a long way away on these, and actually these don't have a bad track record either. The last week one we had was here. We've got 1, 2, 3 on this target, on this chart, and all of them made target. So we'll see how that goes. But obviously that's a small sample. This one could fail, but equally it might not. We're going to have a turbulent few months. Whatever happens at the end of the election and whoever wins, we're going to get some turbulence, I think. And obviously the geopolitical situation is fragile. Middle East is turbulent. Ukraine is ongoing. Now, if Trump wins, that could get very interesting, because Trump is talking about his one phone call to end the war. Now, everyone knows how you can always end a phone call with a war with one phone call. All you got to do is call and say, I surrender. And it's pretty obvious, and they're talking openly about basically giving up in Ukraine and letting Russia hold on to their territorial gains. Obviously, that's kind of what... Well, I'm just saying, from a European point of view, Russia looks like a potential serious threat. It's a dictator with megalomaniac ambitions sitting on the doorstep. Now, obviously, we've had that before in Europe, and it didn't end that well. And the last time we rang up and said we surrender was in Czechoslovakia, and hey, that didn't work out too well either. So I think that's not going to be a popular decision in Europe. It could have huge implications for the future of NATO. And it might encourage the Chinese, who are the other dictators who are still trying to build an empire, and who have their eye on Taiwan. They might think that if the US isn't a reliable ally, then maybe they can take Taiwan. So it's got big geopolitical implications, and that could have, that brings me to bonds, where we've got a very interesting setup developing. Let's have a look at that. All right, ZB. I've got a nice looking trend line, very nice looking trend line that's formed along here, and I'm wondering whether this is an overall flag, and I think it could be. In which case, this could be heading back higher again, and we will see how that goes. How could that relate to what we're seeing on the TNX chart? Well, let's have a look at that, because this is a chart which, nothing is certain in these things, but this has certainly got the potential for a lot of turbulence. Right. RSI 5 buy signal fixed on the weekly is almost made target. We had a buy signal fix on the RSI 14 on the daily chart, and that's now made the possible near miss target and the RSI 5 buy signal fixed as well. Could this be an overall flag? Honestly, with falling interest rates from the Fed, it's hard to imagine. But maybe geopolitical turmoil might deliver it. At the moment, I am taking this seriously and wondering whether we might see a retest at 49.97. What could cause that? I don't know. A lack of confidence in American bonds, possibly. But I'm just looking at the setup and taking it seriously. I've been mainly leaning down towards on bond yields for months and up on bonds. I'm wondering about that. We could see this. We could see bonds. We're not quite done to the upside here on yields, and that may well mean more downside in bonds. But I have to say, looking at ZB, it looks like we might be bottoming out right here, and that could make sense. We've had a nice move down. Nice to see a bit of a rally. I am thinking this looks more like a flag than anything else. And it could be a flag, in which case we could see a big move up in bonds. What would that mean on here? It would mean a big move down, which would actually make some sense. Because, hang on a second. Sorry, wrong chart there. It's, maybe we could head down to here, but I've got to say, until we see some more action here, this looks like a rather nice looking flag setup, which is underthrown bullishly and is heading back up. I'm watching this with a lot of interest, and I'm thinking this is a chart which could break hard in either direction. The logical direction would be down on yields. We've already had one 50-point base rate cut. There was talk of another 25 in November and another 50 in December. It's going to be hard to keep bond yields going up in that sort of environment. So my natural lean is down, but I'm looking at the pattern setup and I'm wondering about up. We will see. All right, great. Let's have a look at oil. So I'll just pull back to that. Oil and natural gas, again, looking pretty interesting. Now, obviously, we had all the stuff in Israel last week when that was kicking off. I was talking about this potential level bottom here that then broke up, made target. We've climbed higher since, and we're back at 75.50. We do have a 60-minute sell signal, which is now fixed on the hourly chart. On NG, we don't currently have a signal, but we broke up higher, and I've been having a really close look at the possible triangle that I've been looking at, and also at the daily divergences, which very much need to be seen here. All right, let's have a look at those. And on CL, no current divergence. So if we're about to turn down, we're not really seeing that on the chart here. We, in terms of the divergences, we will see. But it would be easy to set up some negative divergence here. We've broken over this declining resistance. We've still got an open target and a retest this low here at 63.57. But obviously, turmoil in the Middle East can trump targets. So we will see. I think it would have made it. Will it still? I think it might well, but it might take a bit more time. In terms of the bigger picture charts, no divergence on the daily chart, WTIC, no divergence on the weekly chart either, so we will see. What's really interesting, though, is natural gas. Natural gas, I haven't actually marked in the arrows for this double bottom here, because I don't think it applies. This is a double bottom that doesn't exist on the nat gas index chart at all. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I haven't marked it in because without it being on the nat gas chart, I'm very doubtful about this having much strength as a target. Short term, though, RSI 14 buy signals reached the possible near-miss target, and an RSI 5 sell signal is fixed. On the nat gas index chart, it's stronger than that. We've actually got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed and an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. Both of them late last week in this decline. Now, I've had a look at the triangle, which I had drawn from this high here at 3.64, and I've redrawn it because there's no particular reason for it to be drawn from there, and I've redrawn it from this high here at 3.39. That has us actually making a couple of Pinocchios through the trend line, but it still holds. We've got strong sell signals here. This triangle's still potentially in play, in which case the arrows I drew on this on that bigger picture post, still actually, I've just moved them forward. They're still potentially in play too. So I'm watching this with enormous interest, and we'll have to see how it goes from here. But this is potentially the reversal that takes us back to 2. We will see. Looking at the weekly charts, no current divergence, but on the bigger picture, obviously, if this triangle breaks down and gets us back to 1.522, that can set up a beautiful double bottom, which can then set up and move up to 4.75. Because I would really be expecting this huge support level in 1.5 to 1.6 to hold. It's a big historic trend line, and I just don't see any reason for natural gas to be any lower than that. So if we do see that, I'd be seeing a move to the 1.52 retest area as a gift on the long side. I have commented, however, it's a bit difficult holding long-term longs on natural gas, but nonetheless, this is that could start to move upwards, which could really last quite a while and go a considerable distance. We will see. All right, let's have a look at gold. Gold. Nice move up. Wondering about the implications of what's happening on the dollar are. So far, we haven't actually seen a lot. The dollar's rallied a long way, and actually, gold has hardly come down at all. And it looks like a bull flag is forming. It may well be a bull flag. If if US dollar goes higher, we might see a move down to test the monthly pivot, and that would still be within what would look like flag. Silver looks a little different. We've gone back and retested this high already, and this looks rather like a double top, and I'm wondering if it is. It could be. If so, a sustained breakdown below about the 31.2 area, if it was to make target, because obviously that could fail, would have a target in about the 29.3 area. Looking at HG, this looks like, so far, some kind of flag forming. At the moment, it looks like a triangle. It could evolve into a more standard flag by making a lower low under this low here. But it looks like a flag forming. They all look like flags on the metals. Let's have a look at the big picture on those. All right, GC. GC, no current divergence, and there won't be any divergence unless we go back and retest the high. We could still do that and get possible both RSI 5 and RSI 14 sell signals brewing. And I'd quite like to see that for that reason, but we may well not see it. We will see. No divergence on the index, on the gold index either. We've still got divergence on the weekly chart, but it's long in the tooth, and so far it's looking as though it might fail, and a bit higher on gold, and it might well fail. And I have got a trend line that is higher here. I've got one up in about the 2800 area, and I'm wondering if that might be hit, but it's going to be, with the dollar herring up upwards, that's going to be a little difficult to deliver. Silver, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We've still got that after the retest of the high. We haven't quite made it to the retest of this high here at 33.5, but we have made that high retest twice now. On the silver index chart, which is the main one to watch. Has this set up a potentially beautiful double top? It has. Am I very doubtful about that delivering anything? I am. Nonetheless, I'm watching it. If US really tore off into orbit, then obviously this might actually deliver. So I'm keeping an eye on it. Bigger picture, not a lot really to say that we're going to go an awful lot lower. What I would say is I've got this potential trend line here. We've not seen any real break of it here, and if it goes down to the corresponding trend line, then that would be in about the 22.5 area. Just throwing it out there. Because the setup is potentially there. If this double top was to break down, that would have a target in about the 20.5 area. I am very doubtful about it getting down to that target, but it's worth noting. All right, palladium. Palladium, we've got what looks like a bull flag forming on platinum. I've still got a double bottom target, which is up here at about the 107.2 to 108.1 area. I would note we do have this potential double top here. If we were to see a break below the daily middle band, which I've got currently in the 994 area, then I would be wondering whether we might actually play that out. This would take platinum potentially back to the lows at 912. Again, I'm very doubtful about seeing that play out, but I'm watching the setup because it's there. HG, no current negative divergence on the daily charts. Looks like a flag forming. A bullish consolidation of some kind. GDX, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we had an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and we've gone a little higher. We've hit some really nice trendline resistance, and I'm wondering about a hit of the corresponding trendline support, which is in the 37 area. GDXJ also hit that resistance, which was quite impressive because they were significantly different distances from these trend lines when I initially drew these, but they both did perfect hits. Both came off it. Both of them have corresponding trend lines which are lower, and the corresponding trend line on GDXJ would be down here at about the 43.5 area. So we shall see. All right, great. Let's move on to the other commodities.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Let's have a look at KC. KC, we have this little head and shoulders, that's made target, and I noted that we've got a potentially much larger double top, which could deliver. Not much sign of that delivering at the moment, but I've got more to say about this on the daily chart. SB, the head and shoulders we could have been forming here is long gone. Obvious next target would be a retest this high, which it hasn't delivered yet. CC, we had a beautiful resistance trend line here. That's broken. We've got a nice looking little double bottom. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. This admittedly was the case on Friday morning as well, but this is a nice looking setup for at least a rally to take us back up into about the 7,500 area. On CT, still thinking this looks like a bullish consolidation, setting up a retest of this high here, just over 74.5, and that's because that's still what it looks like. So we shall see. This is a double bottom here. In the event that we get up there and we don't stop, I've still got targets in the 75.1 to about 75.5 area. All right, looking at the ZW chart, has gone higher. I do have targets higher still. I'll be looking at those on the daily chart too. Some signs of weakness here. We had a sell signal here which played out on corn. We've hit a potential head and shoulder neckline. We could be forming a head and shoulders to go lower. Soy has been forming a possible topping pattern for weeks and actually has broken down from it. If it makes target, that's got a target in about the 1,000 to 1,004 area. So we shall see. Looking at lumber. Lumber, still expecting to see a retest of this high here. Just trading sideways without any obvious directional setups at the moment. Live cattle, nice looking rising support trend line, which is holding so far. 60-minute sell signal is fixed and has so far delivered absolutely nothing. Wondering about continuation higher. Lean hogs, we've had a couple of threatening moves towards forming a possible topping pattern, but nothing is stuck. 60-minute sell signal is fixed again. Not really delivered anything since, but it hasn't actually gone up significantly. Leading towards seeing a retracement here, I am wondering about a possible little double top here, setting up a retest of the monthly pivot at 73.21. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. KC. Is there a case for the double top breaking down? Not a great one. I don't have an obvious resistance trend line here, and I've looked. So I think my lean would be it probably goes higher, but we could see a breakdown from below this 2.77 neckline first. We will see. All right, sugar. No current divergence unless we see a retest the high, apart from a weak RSI 5 sell signal, and I'd be more confident in that delivering if we actually had any others on this chart. We do have a sell signal here, which isn't marked in for some reason. Obviously forgot it when I was updating the chart. Hang on, I'll just mark that in now. It's so we do have a sell signal here that's made target, but there's absolutely nothing to suggest it won't get stronger. And it would get a lot stronger, potentially, if we went back up and retested that high. I'm leaning towards seeing that more than I'm leaning on anything else, but it's not. We haven't got any strong setup to go anywhere, really, at the moment. We'll see. All right. Cocoa, we've seen a sharp retracement. No particular reason to go lower. We do have a nice looking double top support here, which hasn't been broken. I'm not seeing any reason to think that will play out. So we will see how it goes. My lean is that we probably find support here and deliver at least around it, and then we'll see. On wheat, the RSI 14 buy signal reached possible nemesis target. We are seeing something in a reversal. Could this be an IHS forming? It could. In which case, the ideal right shoulder low would be in the 5.8 area, and 580 area, and that actually would be a nice looking setup. I'm wondering whether we're pulling back for that right shoulder. On corn, we went through the obvious right shoulder neckline. So right neckline, we broke it with some confidence. So I'm not really looking for a right shoulder here. Are we looking at a retracement? Yeah. Is it on a sell signal? No. Soy, though, does have an RSI 5 sell signal fix. Not that far away from the target now. We're seeing a sharp retracement. I'm going to be watching support at the daily middle band at 1028 as and when we get there. On cotton, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and we have been forming what looks like a bullish consolidation. Leaning towards this breaking up in due course, might see some more downside. First, we've still got some sell signal to go. Do these have a good track record? Well, the previous two made target, but two is not really much of a sample. So looking at it here, again, sorry, I missed this on the way up. This is actually a failed sell signal here, so bear with me a moment, I'll mark that in. It's I might have been in a bit of a rush when I was updating these charts, which I have to say are a bit of a drag to update whenever they roll. But that is a failed sell signal. So 2 successes, 1 fail. Not an awful lot to hang your hat on. But leaning towards this being a consolidation, could go a bit lower first. We shall see. And that's everything. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I'll see you tomorrow morning.